Hey, it's Frankenmint. It's weed science. Yeah, it's weed science. Hey, it's Frankenmint. And today we're going to talk about tea routine that I picked up from Nova Cotton on Twitter. This is the Mullein Tea daily regimen. Mullein is an extract that comes from the mullein leaf. It is a plant you've probably seen around your house. It's a biennial, which means it has a 2-year window of life cycle. The 2-year life cycle. It will have felt leaves kind of all around the side, and it'll kind of be flat. And then it'll grow these big spears, just like the colas that we've grown to know and love from the cannabis world. And it'll look like that, but it'll be yellow flowers. And then those flowers will be seeds. You don't want to touch the seeds, they're toxic. So today we are going to discuss mullein extract, which you can pick up, at a grocery store. It is a dietary supplement. And I just add a drop of that to chamomile tea. And this is a recipe that I got from Nova Cotton. I'm not sure where he got it from, but hopefully he'll disclose. And so this tea is something that I have been drinking off and on for the past 3 weeks. We are gonna kind of have this be like a long form sort of video. So to you this is one video, but for me this is gonna be over the course of several days. It is day 0, that's right. I've received this, I bought this mullein leaf extract from Amazon just to make it easy to get some close by and not have to search around. This stuff I got from my local grocery store. This is just a bonus just to have, to give it out, just give it a try. But the move is to run, I don't know, like maybe 10 to 14 ounces of hot water amongst these two, to do 2 drops of this, and that's the tea. Perhaps maybe every few days or every so often I'll go ahead and drop one of these in just to kind of, give it a little zing, a little bit of berry zing, right? We'll see how that goes. I'm pretty excited. This is, I'm pretty excited. Oh, look, it's a little tea barcode. How neat is that? I mean, it was funny. I had Wrecking Ball talk to me the other day, and his angle with doing all this was he was like, I don't want another thing that I have to spend my money on that I become dependent on it, and then now I can't smoke without it. And I totally get where he's coming from. That's fair. Now, me personally, I look at it like this is something like you could do to improve your already good lung function, so you get better lung function. Now, I'm noticing that I smoke blunts every day, and I mean, I've been smoking blunts every day for about 20 years. Yeah, that's right, folks, 20 years. And so I'm thinking maybe after a week or so of doing this, it'll help me like hack up more phlegm than I normally would hack up on the regular, and ultimately improve the lung function. And so that is why I was interested in trying this out. Because I smoke blunts every day.
Smoke weed every day.
That's what this is. I will continue doing progress. I started out drinking 4 days of it on, and then 3 days off. Hey, it's Frankenmint, and we are on day 2 of the tea with Starscream. This is the chamomile peppermint tea with the supplemental mullein extract. This is Nova Cotton's recipe. It's not bad. The peppermint is nice. The peppermint's a nice touch. His original recipe was just the chamomile tea and drops of this mullein supplement. Now, the package on the mullein supplement says a full milliliter. I think his was 2 or 3 drops. I think the full milliliter is like 5 drops. It doesn't really impact the flavor, at least not from what I can tell. Yesterday, immediately after drinking it, I smoked, and I smoked throughout the day. It did seem like I wasn't, coughing as aggressively, which was nice, and it felt like I was producing phlegm throughout the day, more so than had I not taken it. It could be a placebo effect. I noticed that it kicked up production when I drink water, and that's kind of how it works for me normally anyway. But so far, day 1 or day 0 if you're a computer science guy, or sorry, day 1 if you're a computer science guy, day 2 if you're, a normal person like the rest of them. That's kind of what we have. It's not bad. I will continue to incrementally film, and then, we'll give a final follow-up when this gets posted to YouTube. And then I tried some control group teas, and I found that this indeed was effective. Now, the original belief is that this tea helps you with phlegm content and with generating more saliva for your phlegm. Get rid of that cough, to be able to more easily cough up what you've got. And we're not talking about somebody who smokes occasionally, but we're talking about like a daily chronic smoker, somebody who smokes multiple blunts a day. I smoke multiple blunts a day, or just multiple bowls in general, that way, with cannabis.
Smoke weed every day.
He put this on my radar, and so I thought, this is interesting, I'll try it. And looking into this, I was able to uncover my own research about what's happening. So the reason why you are coughing and collecting a bunch of tar and having a difficult time coughing it up, like in the morning and throughout the day, might be because you still are suffering with dry mouth. Beyond being high, like when you're sober, you're experiencing it. And so what occurs is you have CB1 and CB2 receptors at the base of your tongue, and those get activated in the presence of the THC smoke, in the presence of the weed smoke being activated, or in the presence of an edible, or in the presence of like even a CBD gummy. Or even in the presence of just the raw cannabis itself, like eating the raw cannabis leaves. I noticed it's particularly bad when I ate raw cannabis leaves that had terpenes on them and had, the nice sticky points on them. Sure, they taste really good, but I had the worst dry mouth and scratchiest raw throat from it, because it was actually like the dual action of the terpenes kind of being slightly acidic and kind of scratching the raw surfaces, and on top of that, the lack of the saliva production. And so the lack of saliva production is happening because these CB1 and CB2 receptors are activated, which closes this glands, and they cease to produce the saliva, unless you have overriding mechanisms at play, like you have a bunch of food in your mouth, or you take a bunch of sugar or something like that. That'll override real quick and cause you to generate the saliva to be able to cause equilibrium right in your mouth. And so you get chronic dry mouth from the chronic smoking, because you still have cannabis metabolites in you because they're fat soluble, and so that happens long after you smoke typically. Now, it takes a couple of days for that effect to subside, for you to not have the chronic dry mouth, but it can kind of come and go still because it's built up. And so this chronic dry mouth causes you to not, swallow the saliva and this, coat the esophagus, which then helps indirectly coat the bronchial tubes. The way it's working is, in your lungs you have these alveoles, there we go, these lung alveoles, these little balls at the very bottom and base of your lung, like I guess billions of them, I suppose. And that's where you get the whole oxygen respiration thing from the air. It strips the oxygen from the air and then puts in the CO2 from you breathing out, the thing that your plants have grown to love. And so if you have a situation where you accidentally choke on something, let's say you were eating a bacon sandwich or something and you accidentally breathed in a piece of bacon and now you're choking on the bacon and you're like, and you don't know what to do, and so you quickly breathe in really deeply, and all of a sudden you just hear a pop noise and you feel a little stuff rumble in there, but you can breathe again for a moment, and then you hack up as much of it as you can, but there still might be a little bit of bacon in there. There still might be, or maybe it's a chocolate milkshake, and you do your best to hack it all up, but you don't know, maybe there's just a little bit of milkshake in there. Well, what happens to that, right? Does that stay there forever? No. What happens is your lungs have little cells like at the end of the alveoles, that will eat anything. They're very aggressive. They eat everything, and that's kind of a great little like feature, right? The one exception is going to be resinous tars. They cannot break down the resinous tars. They cannot break down plastics. They cannot break down the tobacco tars. And so those will just, because they're not eaten, they're just sort of kind of processed and churned into like little cells, right? Like little balls that just kind of accumulate and get pushed back up against the sides of the lungs. And so then along your lung tissue and your tracheal walls, you have little tiny hairs. It's called cilia, right? And the cilia works to collect and carry up all that gunk and matter that's on your lungs. And so you're coughing up that collection of the gunk that the cilia is all kind of collected and harvested. And that's how your lungs are working to filter and clean themselves. And this is a mechanical action, and so if you cease to smoke, you'll eventually clear it all out. It will happen. Now, with smoking cannabis, because it causes dry mouth, it's harder for there to be, the saliva to lubricate the mucus so that it can, break away and easily cough up. It sort of just kind of gets stuck there on the cilia, like a congested little snot.
Right.
Also, when you breathe, right, breathing in is pushing down against the cilia's action of pushing the phlegm up, and so it's compacting it, and so that's how it hawks into a loogie. So you get enough mass so that you can actually accumulate and push out the gunk that accumulate the lung butter, if you will. So this chamomile Mullein tea is just a tea bag of the chamomile tea and like 1 milliliter of the Mullein drops. I just sourced those from the internet and my local grocery store for the teas. I also decided to, my own twist, add in some peppermint tea. I guess you could call it a Frankenmint tea, if you will, if you add all those three together. I'm sure somebody else has a formal name for that. You can take them multiple times a day, but I usually just do one once a day in the morning. And it's nice, like it's subtle instead of coffee. And what I like about the peppermint is it's a nice soothing action with the menthol, kind of like on the back of the throat, and it feels nice. It's comforting. And so that works really well with, trying to cough up phlegm instead of using like an asthma inhaler, which an asthma inhaler is quite effective. However, you're not delivering like moisture you're doing directly to your lungs and brachial tubes. It's a bronchodilator, but you're not actually like drinking or causing action to happen with, your lungs and the esophageal area, the esophagus and, the trachea. The other thing too is, I noticed even like smoking or not, after eating a meal and drinking a beverage, it seems like that dislodges and moves a lot of the stuff that's down there. And so it naturally accumulates, something that like can easily be spit up later, like a phlegm for a later point in time. So for the control group actions, like I said, I drank the tea for 3 days, and then I stopped drinking the tea for about 3 to 4 days, just to see if there's any ill effect, if I felt like there's a dependency potential to it, like, oh no, I stopped, I don't feel great, things are worse and more detrimental. Well, I'm happy to report that nothing like that occurred for me. I was able to stop drinking the tea, and it was as if there was no difference. Drinking the tea allowed it to feel like I could more confidently process phlegm, And I, as a control group, the second control group was to try it with adding a different tea besides the peppermint. And so I tried like this wild berry kind of tea, and it was disgusting. I didn't care for that. I noticed the wild berry did a poor job of masking the chamomile. It made the chamomile very obvious, and it just wasn't enjoyable. And then as a third control group, I took the Mullein drops with just some dark cherry, and it didn't have the same effect as the regular tea with the peppermint, the Mullein, and the chamomile does. I was still experiencing, like it felt like I was just drinking water, drinking a regular coffee, which is nice, but it doesn't seem to have that coating action. I believe the chamomile itself, along with the mullein drops together, are working to allow the body to do something that's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's processing more saliva. It feels more like it's kind of acting as its own remedy to kind of, it feels like a coating, I suppose, but it's very slight. It doesn't seem like it's a big difference. The other thing too is I'm not really trying to go overboard. It's just kind of 1 cup a day. And so overall, I mean, like I drank some this morning. It was awesome. And yeah, like I'm going to probably continue drinking it. I think it was a successful test to run, and I encourage others who smoke often to consider this tea routine. This is important to note that this is just my own personal curiosity that has propelled this forward from Nova Cotton's suggestion. This is not medical advice. Again, this is not medical advice. This is not any dieting advice. This is not to be used as any sort of remedy or any sort of tonic or any sort of, miracle benefit of any kind. There's been no research other than me anecdotally testing things out on myself to see how I react and respond. And how I react and respond, it might be quite different from how you react and respond. So please speak to a doctor before beginning any new dietary supplements or any new routines that you have concerns about your own health with. Don't gamble on me, some random John Doe on the internet.
Not a doctor.
Shh. From Mullein.
Thank you for watching and for tuning in. So, Nova Cotton, if you have any comments or suggestions, please take it away. Actually, I have some questions for you. What put you onto this? How has your experiences been? I noticed that online, because you're on Twitter, as well as here on YouTube, I've noticed that you mentioned that you've moved on because it's kind of caused you to fall asleep, and so now you're kind of doing a whole pre-mix of a bunch of things. Would you like to talk about how that has fared out versus, the original recipe that you read? Have you done any other slight alternatives, kind of like how I've added the peppermint into your routine? Yeah, I think that was the questions I had for you, Nova Cotton. Thank you so much for sharing this recipe. I appreciate it. This is great. That's it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Weed Science, Frankenmint's Mullein Tea. I love you. Please remember to love your neighbor. Take care.